Welcome back to AIX Gaming, the show where we break down AI headlines, tech trends, and what actually it all means for people like you making games, playing games, and hustling to get into the industry. I'm Chris, your resident guide to the intersection of creativity, tech, and the business of gaming. Folks, we're starting hot today. Netflix just posted a job for Director of Generative AI for games. Netflix. So with a salary range from $430,000 to $840,000 a year. So let that sink in for a second. That's nearly $1 million for one person. Maybe not meeting the salary budgets offered by Meta, but for something like Netflix and AI gaming, it should give you a thought for a second. So meanwhile, the rest of the gaming industry is still feeling the sting of layoffs, studio closures, and hiring freezes that are coming partially out of AI, but largely due to other factors that have already existed. So what does this tell us? AI is becoming a premium skill in the room, and studios and platforms are thinking about game development as models and algorithmic problems. They vary. Nature of work in industry might be shifting. The way it's all done could be changing. Netflix is now diving in, so that can tell you something. So today we're going to be unpacking that story, Nintendo's contradictory messaging around generative AI, Elon Musk's XAI hiring moves, Microsoft's Game Pass economics, which I know has been heating up the internet, Web3 and AI experiments, and what it all means for you. So whether you're a AAA dev, an indie creator, or just trying to make your own pixel art game, by the end of this episode, we'll walk you through it and we'll let you walk away with some actionable takeaways for your creative career, insights into emerging trends, and a framework to start thinking about AI strategically within your own projects. You're running straight from taking blood to making payments to loving. All right, so let's start with the story that broke everybody's brain this week. Netflix's Director of Generative AI for games posting for $430,000 to $840,000 a year. So that's one person, one role that's going to steer generative AI in Netflix's gaming endeavor. So it might not sound like a huge number as compared to some of the Meta and OpenAI numbers, but for gaming, in Netflix's department, for the one role which might take over what potentially could have been a number of roles, is quite a sum. Meanwhile, studios are laying off developers, testers, even mid-level design talent. We talked about last week the new quality assurance AI is doing a lot of the game testing, or can potentially do more of it than human game testers. So that is on the horizon as well. So we're seeing a big mismatch in this. AI talent is scarce, it's highly prized, and it's commanding eye-popping salaries. So while at the same time, traditional development roles are being slightly squeezed. So thinking about how this is all affecting you is really important, especially if you're trying to jump into the industry. Because it's not just Netflix. So Elon Musk, XAI, is also actively recruiting game designers and developers to train AI agents and create interactive experiences. That's according to Fox Business. So if you're in that world, maybe give them a buzz if you're interested in working for Elon or Netflix. But the message is clear. If you have experience designing gameplay loops, crafting user experiences, or even scripting AI behaviors for NPCs, for example, you're now a direct feeder into the AI innovation chain. So from a creator perspective, the takeaway really is that the industry is rewarding the combination of creativity and the technical influence. So knowing how to translate design instincts into AI-driven systems is now a rare skill, but it's growing. So think about it like you're a level designer, chops are now currency, but the coin is going to be AI expertise. So it's like a lot of what happened in some of the other industries where music got taken over by people that were more tech-leaning, that could do their own mixing, producing. It started to change the trend of the way that we looked at music. So similarly, now you're going to have to do that in the gaming world with AI. So what are the takeaways here? Upskill with AI tools. That's your number one. Unity's AI toolkits, NVIDIA, Omniverse, and procedural content generation are now career leverage points. So you want to learn about these tools. You want to dive into them. There's plenty of, not plenty, I mean, there's a lot, but it's a newer skill. But YouTube videos, plenty of reading you can do to follow up on deeper things here. Let me know if you'd be interested in more deeper dives on that. Number two, you're going to want to, again, document and showcase AI-aware design. So portfolios that are highlighting AI assisted or AI driven game systems will get noticed. And I similarly talk about AI documentation because we're still legally unsure about some of our generations. So make sure to document what you create, what went into AI, what was yours. So it's not just a fully AI design. Even if it wasn't, you want to be able to prove it in the event that legal challenges arise. Number 3, you're going to want to think hybrid. Creativity isn't going to be enough by itself in this industry. You're going to want to combine it with design thinking, technical fluency, and to have the maximum impact and ability to get looked at in the industry, or even if you're just creating for yourself. So a couple questions to get you guys engaging here and thinking about it. How would you guys use AI to automate one or more of your repetitive parts of development in your workflow? What would it be and why? What's the annoying thing that AI could help you with? And then what's the creative thing that you don't want to automate away? So those two things playing together, I think, are going to be the key in all creativity with AI going forward. Secondly, how do you guys feel about studios paying nearly $1 million for one AI hire while others are laid off? I know people have had a lot of opinions about it, but this is kind of the issue that bigger studios are going to run into, where why use AI when you can afford people is the argument. Whereas smaller indie devs, I think, are going to have an easier ability to get a foothold into using AI if they're authentic about it, because us indie creators don't have the cash flow that these companies do. So secondly, Nintendo has been in the news. So they've had a whole AI controversy, as many of these studios do. This is according to Notebook Check, PC Gamer, Tech Story, and a bunch of Reddit chatters all talking about it. Multiple outlets had reported that Nintendo had lobbied the Japanese government to limit the use of generative AI in game development altogether. So the idea, as people saw it, was to protect their IP, which Nintendo is very notorious for, in arguing that they would preserve creativity and make sure AI doesn't cheat the work of designers and artists, which is a common theme people have discussed. Then, following that, Nintendo went public with a flat-out denial of the whole thing. They claim no government contact has been made at all. That's according to PC Gamer. However, Reddit threads blew up immediately with speculation, highlighting a mix of skepticism, curiosity, industry influence, and conspiracies flew wild. So what's really happening? It's probably a mix of some corporate caution, some internal discussion, and some public messaging. Nintendo is a brand that depends on careful IP control and quality storytelling. I mean, they're notorious to take down a lot of things that deal with Nintendo, so this all kind of fits into that narrative for people. So the perception of AI overreach is sensitive for them. Indie creators, I think the takeaway is a little bit more nuanced. So while restrictions might protect some IPs like Nintendo, they could slow innovation or create uneven access to AI tools, privileging big studios over small teams, which is an interesting thing with the new Sora app that they came out with that you can flip through like a TikTok style, the new Vibes app. These things are all going to be producing similar content using IPs. And now there's that argument of, are you stifling? Are you stealing? Where is the line of innovation? I think it's going to be a dangerous legal place to go. So it's going to be really interesting to watch how that all plays out. So from a creative lens, you want to think about generative AI like a new engine for your imagination. It can draft assets, prototype mechanics, generate dialogue. You guys know all that. But when platform holders start drawing regulatory lines, the playing field is going to change. So it's like trying to build your own racing car, but only being allowed to use it a third of the available parts, and because someone's worried about the manufacturer losing profit. So you really want to worry about what you're building. You want to document. You want to make sure you know what's yours, what's not, so that in the event that something collapses, you don't lose your entire production. That potentially you can back it up, prove what's yours, and continue profiting. So what are your takeaways from this story? So one, you're going to want to keep tracking industry and government AI policies, which we're going to do with you here. So they affect both IP use and your access to tools. So that can even be your IP in the future. So that's important. Number two, again, build AI literacy, understand what's legal, what's experimental, and what is community accepted. And that's going to prevent a lot of future headaches, because some things are currently legal, unknown, some things are just hated. So you have to understand the concept legally and the concept culturally for what you want to use and why. And number three, maintain your creative independence. Diversify your tools so that your workflow isn't dependent on a single platform or one that becomes a restricted AI engine. It's the same thing in marketing. You don't want to blow up on TikTok. I mean, you want to blow up on TikTok, but you want to try and expand. You want to have YouTube, you want to have Instagram, you want to have these things because you need eggs everywhere, and you don't want to be at the mercy of one platform as best you can. So what would you want tighter AI regulation on in gaming? I'd be interested to know if you want more freedom to experiment or if you think that this whole thing is risking IP problems. I know a lot of indie creators could probably care less about IP because, you know, Disney's Disney and you're doing your own thing. But once you hit, you might start to worry about what's happening with the stuff you create and why. So these are things to think about in the long term. Our next story is more about money, and this is the big one that's popping all over the internet, is the Game Pass and platform economics issue over at Xbox. So AI isn't the only thing reshaping the industry right now. Microsoft's Game Pass and Eternal economics are a perfect case study in all of this. So this is according to PC Gamer and Bloomberg. Microsoft is reportedly estimated that putting Call of Duty on the Game Pass had led to $300 million in lost retail sales. So that's a huge internal number for them, and it directly affects now how studios, publishers, and platforms and owners are thinking about revenue and investment, because we went very hard into these subscription models, and for a long time they weren't profitable. I believe a number of streamers, Paramount, all these other ones, are not yet quite profitable or slightly profitable. So I think they're thinking about it as a long game, but this is now a little piece of information for Microsoft on why it hasn't been functioning properly for them. So why does that matter to you as a creative? So because subscription models are changing the value of a game. We know that as creators, the incentives for development and the risk calculus for investing in innovation is now totally different because of things like this. So if your studio is relying on traditional sales revenue, you need to think about how the Game Pass or similar AI-powered tools could affect your ROI on anything that you create. Now you add AI into the mix, you're going to have procedural generation, AI-driven testing, automation to reduce development costs, but you also may shift revenue expectations. So platforms might pay less for human labor because AI can do part of the work, but they might also expect faster iteration cycles and more experimental content, more interesting ideas. So it's a double-edged sword, as with every new piece of tech that ever comes into these creative spaces. So you kind of want to think about it like if you're building a tower in a city where new cranes, which is AI, can build faster than the humans. But the city council, which is the platforms, now charges you for every floor that you add to your building. So you're gaining speed, but you're losing price leverage. So it's a balancing act now between efficiency and value that we're still seeing take full shape. So what are your full takeaways from this? Number one, consider alternative revenue models. You're going to want to think subscriptions, microtransactions, hybrid strategies, and that's all going to change your developmental priorities. And depending on what kind of developer you are, you might want to move away from some of those. Some of you might hate microtransactions, which I understand. So it's how much business, how much creator. And now with AI, you're going to have to think about it even more. Two, you're going to want to use AI strategically to reduce development costs, not just because it's available. So you want to be able to do it where you can actually save money, which is actually going to hand you some boost to create more and better and more efficiently, or actually get your game across the finish line. And number three, keep an eye on platform trends, and we will help you do that here. So they often shape what creative risks are viable and which ones are just a trend or passing. So I'd love to know, how would you guys price your indie games if AI could cut your development time in half? Would you keep the price the same? Would you raise the price? Would it be spent on marketing? I'd love to hear how you guys are approaching all of these changes. So please leave me a comment down below and we can chat about it next time. All right, our next section is going to be talking about tools. So AI tooling in general, Web3, and the creative opportunities that they make available. So the tools are the thing that's, really shaping the workflow nowadays. You have Unity, NVIDIA, and even Web3 projects now like Unmarshal and Fishwar are exploring AI enhanced game development. So this is according to the Blockchain Reporter. So if you're not a blockchain developer, I understand this might all seem a little bit wild. Web3 is it's kind of its own thing right now, potentially more later. We don't know. But it's something to keep an eye on. So we're talking about procedural generation, smarter NPCs, AI-assisted testing, and tokenized in-game economics. A lot of the stuff that we talked about previously, but the tokenized game economics is kind of the interesting part about the blockchain gaming. So for indie developers and developers that are aspiring, this is where the rubber's going to meet the road for you, because AI is going to be able to prototype content, assets, simulate behaviors, all of that. And for AAA studios, it's more about the efficiency and scale and reducing headcount, unfortunately. But the nuance is that using AI doesn't mean you're obviously going to create a hit right away. We all know that. It's still just a tool. It's a partner, not a replacement. So, if you think about like having a really talented co-pilot who can handle repetitive tasks while you focus on the creative vision. It's really still about the creative vision, the grunt work. I don't want to call it grunt work because they're very specialized skills, is now taking somewhat of a backseat to the creative vision. So I don't know if the hands-on people are really going to hate that. I'm sure they are. The visionaries are going to have an easier time bringing their vision to life. So depending on who you are, you might be in a happy place with AI. What are your takeaways for this, though? Number one, you're going to experiment with AI for prototypes. You're going to save time. You're going to iterate faster. You can even share on the internet. Do a couple TikToks, couple Instagrams. See which one pops. See which style people like. Get an idea before you waste hours and hours on something people don't like. You have a built-in focus group on your phone, like 15 different platforms of focus groups. Utilize them. 2, blend AI output with the human touch. Don't let models define your style entirely. They should be a tool for your creativity, and document it. 3, explore tokenized or Web3 mechanics carefully. I know some of you hate it, but and the market is experimental, but it's potentially rewarding. Keep a side eye on it. I know everybody's got it tied into crypto, and it's off in the trash for a lot of people in their minds. But I think with these things and the AI thing, there might be a little tie, and you want to just see what's coming. You don't have to work in it, just see what's coming. And we'll talk about it here as well. 4, track industry chatter. That's what we do here. That's why you're here. Even Reddit threads, developer forums, social discussions are all going to highlight emerging things. You're going to see cultural ideas, and you're going to want to keep all of that ahead. You got to be aiming for where we're going, not where we wish we were. Unfortunately, I also wish we were still somewhat in the 90s and we're doing the sideways scrollers, but we're not doing that anymore. That's a saturation. It is what it is. Here we are. So I want to know if you guys tried AI tools in your development process. Has it worked? Has it not worked? Which ones are you thinking about trying? Is there any you would like me to discuss? And secondly, do you guys think that Web3 and an AI game mechanic could enhance your creative vision, or is it more hype, annoyance? Do you just have a bad taste in your mouth from that? So please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear about it so we can chat about it next week. All right, so what's the takeaway from all of this AI gaming chaos? So we got a few key trends that are emerging. Okay, number 1, AI talent is scarce, prized, and transformative. Studios are paying 6-figure salaries to secure expertise, and indie developers can leverage these tools to punch above their weight. So since it is scarce, you can get into it. You don't need to be a crazy AI programmer now to be unique. You just need to know how to use AI tools, but be a creative. The creativity is still important. They're paying high money for creatives that understand tools. Work on that. Number 2, policy and IP are still very murky waters, and Nintendo's lobbying has the rumors, the denials. All of it is legal uncertainty, which means creatives need to stay cautious and informed, so stay with us here, but document what you created, what you drew, photograph it, what you wrote, photograph it, send it to yourself in an email, date it, make sure that if legal hammers start to drop, you can prove you're inside of this story and not just AI slop. Number 3, platform economics are evolving. Subscriptions, Xbox's Game Pass, AI cost reductions, increases in other places, are shifting revenue models and risk assessments. So if you're programming for a game, think about these things as you're going. If it's just for fun, it's for fun. If you're looking to make money, you got to watch the platforms. You got to understand when's the right time and what's coming. So you got to think about those things. Let me know if you want to have a coverage story on these things moving forward. And number 4, Tools are your new creative co-pilot. Procedural generation, AI-assisted testing, Web3 experimentation, all of this is capable, but you need your human vision. Now, if you're specifically going away from it as your marketing gimmick, fine, that's your gimmick. But for the most part, people, I think, will find something they should utilize. And if you're looking to get into the industry, understand it, see what they want, become indispensable, as they say, to these studios if that's what you'd like to go for. So for game developers, indie creators, and aspiring industry pros, I always say don't fear AI, just learn it, experiment with it, integrate it thoughtfully into your workflows, track the trends with us, understand the platform shifts, and protect your IP, even if it's not really one yet, while leveraging AI for faster iteration, richer worlds, and smarter design. So finally, I want you to remember the future of gaming is not just about automation. It's about a smarter creative. And AI is the paintbrush, the best, bench, the best test bench, and sometimes even a co-writer. But, how you wield it is going to define where you are on this edge in modern game history. So keep an eye on it, utilize it when you can, but don't turn out AI slop. Plenty of that's already happening. Be different. So some closing questions to leave you with that I'd love to hear from you, so maybe I can talk about them next week. Which AI trend is exciting you the most for your own projects? Is it the tools? Is it automation? Is it the Web3 experimentation, real Wild West stuff, the mechanics over there? And how are you preparing for a world where AI is part of every single stage of game development, even if it's not so yet? So let me know, and that's going to be it this week for AI X Gaming. Please keep creating, keep experimenting, stay curious, stick with us, and until next time, I'm Chris, and tools are evolving, but your creativity is what's going to make your games unforgettable. See you next week, guys.